We're the Oneida County Soil and Water Conservation District. I'm Jessica Perna, the District Forester.
I'm Jessica McLaughlin, the District Manager. At the Soil and Water Conservation District, we deal with a bunch of different things, ranging from agriculture, local municipalities, and the public. For agriculture, we deal with soil and water control on the farms. With local municipalities and the public, we deal with stream intervention, along with flooding, and anything that can happen with flooding. On this table here, we're going to be talking about some of the aspects that can happen with flooding, specifically within the county as well. So we have 3 different streams that are makeshifted within the sand. The first one is a straight and narrow stream. Typically what you see here is it would be dredged out, just a straight shot through a town or city. The second stream, you see it looks a little more natural, meandering back and forth, but there's also some floodplains and houses around it. The last stream here is a natural stream with no development within it, and there's natural occurrences throughout it, including trees, which are these, and meanders. So we'll start with the first stream. So watch what happens as the water starts to go through the stream. Watch the banks of the stream, watch the houses near the stream, and watch the vegetation near the stream. Up here it's starting to happen a little bit more faster than down below, but watch how the sediment along the banks starts to disappear. Here goes the first house. So up here we see the stream is actually starting to naturally meander, so it has a curve to it. This is what a stream naturally wants to do.
There's a hotel.
There goes another hotel. Alright, so what you see along this stream is up here near the top where the flow of the water was the strongest, is it actually is starting to create a natural stream, which you typically see where it's meandering back and forth and making a snake-like pattern. Now you see 4 of the houses, eroded off the banks because they were so close to the stream. The trees stayed right in place, and this is because you want to plant trees near the edges of the banks because the roots actually helps hold the soil within the banks there. Now the question to ask here is, do we want a stream that is straight, narrow, and deep? Is that going to be the best option for what we want to look at during a stream? Take a moment after all this is done and answer that question. So our next stream here is a little more natural, like I said earlier. We have a couple of meanders in it where it looks like the snake. We have a couple of trees. We have a couple of floodplains, which is connection to the stream. And we also have some houses. So let's see what happens here when we add some water to it. So first thing right off the bat, we're not even all the way down the stream yet. And this house right here, which is in the floodplain, is already underwater. Additionally, because we're building right here and there's some impervious surfaces, which are parking lots, driveways, anything like that, it's starting to erode on this side. Alright, so the good thing about this stream is it's starting to act more natural because there isn't the narrow restriction. It's able to spread out like it naturally wants to. But we're still seeing some issues within this stream. The streams have their mind of their own and they want to do what they want, where they can spread out during a flooding situation and reside when there is no flooding. So here we have some houses up here that were underwater because they were built within the floodplain. So for example, within Oneida County, Some areas that are within the floodplain are like in New Hartford, right next to the Sequoia Creek, Whitesboro, right by the Sequoia Creek. And in those types of communities, we see a lot of flooding happen. And that's because they're built within a floodplain. Downstream here, we lost a tree, but that's okay because there's nothing else around it. So that situations, they happen naturally. The trees can fall in. Yes, sometimes they do block bridges and culverts, but the towns and municipalities are able to take those out and take care of them. But like we said earlier, the trees are important to have there because they help hold that soil in before they fall into the creek. Downstream here, you can see it's meandering again, and because this house, even though it was near the creek, but it was far enough away from the floodplain, it stayed okay. Same with this house and this house. But these houses, because they were within the floodplain and close to the creek, they got into a little bit of trouble. All right. Now we're gonna go to the last stream. And one question to think of too while I'm making the path here for this last stream is, even though this stream, the second stream, was natural and it had all the aspects of a creek that you want, is it still good to build with, near a creek or in the floodplain or anywhere where you could have access to getting the floodwaters? So after this presentation is done, think about that and answer that question. All right, so this last creek here is an ideal situation. There's no houses near it, there's floodplains, there's natural connections to the creek during flood situations, so that when it rises and lowers, it can go right to the creek. There's vegetation. Let's see what happens during this situation. Now see, we do have some erosion here still. And the water's rising up and going in the floodplain, but there's no houses there to be affected. So, even though this creek is almost exactly the same as the second creek, there was no homes near it, and no businesses that could be damaged. So the vegetation stayed impacted there. The creek was able to meander and come out of its bed and go back into its bed when it flooded. And there doesn't seem to be much of a difference or effect to the area. So the last question we have for you is, out of these three creeks, which one do you think is the best situation? And also, why should we not build near creeks? What happens in those types of situations? So that is it for our presentation. Thank you guys for coming to this and enjoying it and listening to our presentation. If you guys ever have any questions, have your teacher reach out to our office and we are more than happy to answer them.